evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's lesson from the PowHer series, lesson number 3. And we're looking at the power of a confident woman. And our example for this evening is the Queen of Sheba. Her story is found in 1 Kings chapter 10, verses 1 through 10. I wanted to look at the Queen of Sheba from the angle of being confident, even though we know that she's also wise and accomplished, in charge and regal and discerning, and according to extra biblical sources, that she is also very beautiful. But I recognize that we can be all of those things and still suffer from an imposter syndrome. This imposter syndrome in which we believe that our success is undeserved or that it is not really based on our skills or our efforts. And even though we recognize that so often a title doesn't equal success or ability. We have all seen people rise in rank, have position, have title, sometimes have some of the most powerful positions in the free world. Those things not be based on character, not based on substance, but simply based on the fact that the person is confident. The Queen of Sheba walks in who she is unapologetically and with humility. She is able to demonstrate humility without making herself small. She is confident in that she has a full belief and assurance of who she is. In her actions that I want to point out in tonight's lesson, she knows her worth. Her definition of who she is comes from the inside, doesn't have to be validated on the outside. She has something to contribute, something to offer, and something to give, and she has the confidence to take the initiative. But let me say, even as we look at her as a confident woman, I am not neglecting these other characteristics that cause the confidence to shine and causes her to be a woman that I want to lift up as an example of confidence. Because confidence is not enough. Confidence is not enough if it doesn't stand on good character. We can be confident and crass. We can be confident and ignorant. We can be confident and petty. We can be confident and small-mindedness. Confidence is not enough. Confidence will bolster and boost what the character substance actually is. And so if we are confident and crass, that confidence is just going to push that crassness out. If we are confident and small-minded, then that confidence is just going to push forward that small-minded and that petty agenda. And so even as we look at the power of confidence, know that that power can work positively or negatively based upon the character, based upon who we really are. So let's begin with the Queen of Sheba. And before I even jump into the text, I want to talk a little bit about her family tree, right? The Queen of Sheba is a descendant of Ham. In Genesis chapter 10, verses 6 and 7, we see this lineage moving from Ham to Sheba or Sheba, depending on where we find this word in the Old Testament. This area correlates to southern Arabia. It is a blend or populated by a blend of Semitic and Ethiopian people, because if you look at the map, you will see that where Sheba or southern Arabia is, it is right across a little body of water where on the continent of Africa, you find Ethiopia. So southern Arabia and Ethiopia during ancient times were united under the Ethiopian Empire. Legend has it that in a writing known as the Kabra Nagast, this writing about the glory of the kings or the royalty, that the Queen of Sheba's name, who is referred to in this passage, is Makeda. And Makeda is the queen of southern Arabia and Ethiopia. Ethiopia was a powerful trade ally and nation, and they traded throughout the known world. And there was a particular merchant by the name of Tamrin who sold cedar trees and other goods to King Solomon while Solomon was building the temple in Jerusalem. And so his trade endeavors brought him to Jerusalem, where he witnessed the glory and the majesty of Solomon's kingdom. He comes back and he tells the Queen of Sheba what he has seen. And so she decides to take a trip to Jerusalem in order to see it for herself. So let's take a look at what 1 Kings chapter 10, verses 1 through 10 say. When the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon, due to the fame of the Lord, she came to test him with riddles. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great retinue, with camels bearing spices and very much gold, precious stones. And when she came to Solomon, she told him all that was on her mind. Solomon answered all of her questions. There was nothing hidden from the king that he could not explain to her. When the Queen of Sheba had observed all the wisdom of Solomon, the house that he had built, the food of his table, the seating of his officials, and the attendance of his servants, their clothing, his valets, his burnt offerings that he offered at the house of the Lord, it took her breath away. So she said to the king, "The report was true that I heard in my own land of your accomplishments and of your wisdom. But I did not believe the reports until I came and with my own eyes saw it. Not even half had been told to me. Your wisdom and your prosperity far surpassed the report that I had heard. Happy are your wives, happy are your servants who continually appear and attend you and hear your wisdom. Blessed be the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and set you on the throne of Israel. Because the Lord loved Israel forever, he has made you king to execute justice and righteousness." Then she gave the king 120 talents of gold, a great quantity of spices and precious stones, and never again did spices come in such quantity as that which the Queen of Sheba gave to Solomon. So, in this story, we see that the Queen of Sheba, upon hearing about the wisdom and the magnitude and the greatness of Solomon's kingdom and his wisdom, she goes to Jerusalem to meet with him, wanting to test him with the riddles, to mine his wisdom, and to see if the reports that she has heard about Solomon are actually true. So, the first thing that I want to highlight as a lesson that the Queen of Sheba teaches us as a confident woman is, do not be afraid to seek wisdom or understanding. In Proverbs, the Bible says, "In all of your getting, get an understanding." Make sure that we are seeking the right things and seeking after this wisdom, this knowledge, and this understanding. I love the fact that the Queen of Sheba is not intimidated by Solomon, but she is willing to go where he is in order to see for herself and ask him questions and seek understanding and acknowledge the wisdom that she finds based on her conversation. When we are not intimidated by others, but we can recognize wisdom in other places besides ourselves or beside our particular circle or beyond what we are comfortable with, when we can be open to and seek that wisdom also, then we also can be gathering a possible asset. A confident woman sees additional wisdom as an outset and not as a problem. They do not see it as a reflection of all they don't know, or a reflection that somehow makes them small in comparison, because it's not a comparison kind of thing. When a person is confident, they can seek after wisdom because they're not hiding their insecurities behind false confidence, right? Behind a confidence that is really this sort of bravado and this arrogance and this attitude. Because big people don't need to feel or act in small ways. Big people don't need to feel or act in small ways. So when a person is confident, they can seek after wisdom and understanding. They don't have to know it all, and they don't have to feel like the fact that they don't know it all makes them something negative or makes them something small. If we can't grow beyond what we know and what we can do, then whatever God entrusts to us has to be the size that we have chosen to remain. God can entrust us with big things that may be bigger than us if we are too insecure to move beyond ourselves to appreciate the wisdom and the expertise and the abilities that other people have and the things that we can learn from other people. So, number one, do not be afraid to seek wisdom or to seek understanding. That is why I cannot understand people who really want to serve the Lord, especially in a leadership capacity, especially to lead people in areas that require theological expertise, who will not pursue higher education at whatever level they can get it, who won't go after more so that their understanding can be increased, that they can learn from other people. And sometimes that's how we hold ourselves back. It is getting in our way, the insecurities, because we are so afraid of being perhaps revealed or people recognizing that we don't know as much as perhaps they think we know, that we can't know more because we won't seek after the wisdom or the understanding. The second thing I see in this woman is that she knows her stuff before trying to challenge somebody else. The fact that she could go to Solomon and ask him riddles suggests that she knows the answer to those riddles. The fact that she could ask Solomon questions and be able to recognize or conclude that he is wise, that he has answered wisely, suggests that she's also wise and she can recognize wisdom when she sees it. Confident people know their stuff before trying to challenge somebody else. A confident person is able to match wits with the wisest. They can ask the hard questions. They can discern what is good, what is right, and what is wrong because they seek after wisdom and continue to build up storehouses of wisdom. It enables them to recognize wisdom and understanding when they see it. This enables them to recognize wisdom and understanding within themselves and recognize the places where they may need to grow and develop and seek after that wisdom. She knows, and she knows what to ask, and she knows what she doesn't know and seeks understanding. So she's gotten a report about Solomon. They've said how vast and great his kingdom is and how wise he is. She decides, I want to know and see for myself, and so she seeks after it. A person who is confident will know their stuff before challenging somebody else. And let me put this caveat in here. They are willing to open themselves to the new wisdom that they may gain in that interaction. Why? Because of lesson number one. They're not afraid to seek wisdom and understanding, even if the wisdom and understanding suggests that we don't know all that we need to know, or all that we think we know, or even the stuff that we think we know needs to be adjusted in light of new information. A confident person will fact check a story because they're not afraid of the truth. They're not afraid of wisdom and understanding, which may rub up against the way that they have been taught or trained or used to thinking about things, or the ways in which they are used to understanding things. The Queen of Sheba decides to find out if the report about Solomon is real, because her goal is to learn. And it also, as you continue reading through the story, suggests that she's willing to grow, which is why she can make those statements at the end of her encounter with Solomon, declaring how great his kingdom is and how even the grand reports that came to her paled in comparison to the reality of who he is. That suggests a person who is not only willing to fact check a story, but also willing to concede the areas in which the story has fallen short. She's not looking to prove herself right. She's not looking to prove that what her assumption was correct. Apparently, she goes to find out if what everyone is saying is true, would suggest there's a question about the veracity of the report, and there's also a curiosity and a desire to seek and to learn should the report actually be true. We are living in such a time where people build silos around themselves so that they can live in echo chambers, and what they think is the way it is isn't challenged by anybody else. People refer to internet searches as research. That's not researching anything. Researching is a complex endeavor in which multiple sources are checked out and compared and verified, and people are looking at not only things that are pro what they already believe or what they choose to assume, but also con those things and weighing those pieces together. And so often people are so wed to what they think is true and what they believe that the only truth they seek after is truth that will verify what they already thought was true, or how they already thought things were, or what they believe. A confident person will seek after the truth. They'll seek after the wisdom without the vested interest of the wisdom has to coincide and back me up on what I think. That the wisdom and the understanding and the information is only good if it is something that already aligns with what I think or what I believe. That is not a sign of a confident person. That is the sign of an insecure person that wants to gather up everything they can, right, wrong, or indifferent, in order to bolster a particular version of themselves and a particular version of the world. A confident person will be able to deal with the fact that, one, they could be wrong, with two, the world isn't exactly the way they see it, and that there may be other perspectives and ways of looking at it, and they have the confidence and the ability to navigate those changes and to integrate that new information and to actually be wrong and deal with it. So she's not afraid of the truth, even if it counters her version of what she thinks or how she thinks things should be. And this kind of fact checking will make us reevaluate some things. There are some things in my life that I have held as truth, as given, as gospel. And then I encountered some other people who saw things differently. And when I took the time to listen and to really think on it and to pray on it and to open my mind to the possibilities that the world could offer some things and perspectives that I didn't already have or hold, that the monopoly of truth, that I did not have a monopoly on the truth, opens me up to greater wisdom and understanding, and gives me a sense of confidence that I have done my due diligence, but also that my confidence doesn't solely rest in me, but my confidence rests in God, right? And so you'll notice at the end how she gives God praise, recognizes that it's God who placed Solomon on the throne, right? Once again, white people didn't invent God. This Black Ethiopian queen, recognized the God of Israel and what God did, because there was already an understanding of God and the divine and truth and righteousness and justice already on the continent, y'all. Wasn't just something that people gave to us that we didn't have. But her acknowledgement of God and recognizing what God had done, I think also points to her own confidence, not just resting in who she is as a human being, but who she is as a creation of God, with God-given gifts and God-given abilities, which enables her to recognize them in somebody else and identify where they come from. So she's confident enough to fact check the story, confident enough to face the possibility that a person is wrong or doesn't have all the information. The fourth thing we see with her, she is confident enough to handle the long haul. I think confidence also gives us some persisting and some sticking and some staying power. When we are confident in who we are, we can handle the marathon and not just the sprint. When we are confident and seeking after wisdom, then we're willing to engage in the hard work and realize that everything doesn't have to come at the snap of a finger. Literally, she can handle the long haul. Her journey from Sheba to Jerusalem is a journey of over 1,000 miles. Now, in this day and age where we can hop on a plane and be 1,000 miles in about 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, this is a hard trip for the Queen of Sheba. Think about this. No cars. She's traveling for approximately 6 months, using animals, crossing hot and desert terrain. There's no hotel to stop at and to spend the night. She's clearly got to bring a retinue with her, along with the supplies and the food and the water and all the things that are needed just to survive the journey. And then just the discomfort of traveling day in and day out for this extended period of time. But she is confident enough in who she is that she can make the journey. And she's also confident that the journey is going to be worth it. That what she's seeking after, the answers that she needs, are going to be worth it. A confident person can be confident beyond just quick answers and quick success, but is willing to handle the hardship and the difficulties and the delays and even the dangers and disappointments in order to reach a particular goal. Confident enough to know that what they are made of and what they can handle is enough and sufficient for what it is that they are going after. Confident in the fact that they are not so easily broken, not so easily deterred, not so easily turned around, but they can handle the long haul, because everything isn't going to come easy. Some things are going to require work. Some things, no matter how smart, how cute, how accomplished, how connected we are, we cannot control the timing of some things, and some things just are going to take longer regardless of who we are or our role in it. Do we have the confidence in ourselves to stick with it? Do we have the confidence of God, in God, that God can bring us through it and give us what we need? So the confident woman is able to handle the long haul. The confident woman is able to handle the long haul, recognizing her worth and her value, that she will not accept trash just because it comes quickly, but has the confidence to wait for the real thing. Right? Has confidence to wait for and to pursue that which is of value, and to receive that which is of value, even though that may take a longer time. Because in the interim, there's going to be a whole lot of fake, faux jewels, and trash and garbage that we will have options to settle for if we are not confident enough to believe and to value who we are. Number 5, she is able to speak her mind. A confident person is able to speak their mind and is able to do it in a respectful way. A person who exercises assertive communication. Assertive, not aggressive, not where it's about my will and my way and I'm going to impose it on you and even bully you in order to get it. Not sort of passive in which we're demeaning ourselves and not thinking that we're worth it and acquiescing to whatever it is another party wants. Not even passive aggressive, where it's sort of this sneaky, underhanded, passive way of insisting on our own will and our own way. But assertive conversation that recognizes and respects the value of the other person, what they bring to the table, recognizes that both parties have needs, both parties have goals, both parties have things that they are pursuing that may be worthwhile. She is able to speak her mind without demeaning who she is. She's able to speak her mind without being aggressive and trying to bully Solomon. She's able to speak her mind and clearly articulate her thoughts and how she sees and evaluates what it is that Solomon has shown her. She has her own thoughts. She acknowledges that. This is greater than what I've heard. The half hasn't even been told. The report that was brought back to my land about your accomplishments and your wisdom, I didn't believe the reports until I came and saw it with my own eyes. So she comes and does her fact finding, her fact checking, seeking after the wisdom, because he's renowned for his wisdom. And when she gets there, she's able to speak her mind. She's got something worth saying. It's not about people pleasing. She knows what to say and she knows how to say it. She is honest and integrous in her speaking, right? Notice this. She's like, I didn't even believe it. I had to come and see for myself, right? And now I've seen it and the half hasn't even been told. Like, blessed be the Lord, who has rightly put you on the throne to exercise justice and righteousness, because that's just evident from what our conversation and the things that I'm hearing and the things that I am seeing. And so she's able to acknowledge what she thought and that it was incorrect. And then she's able to articulate the positive part of it, which brings us to number 6. She knows how to respond to greatness. She's not intimidated by it. His greatness doesn't make her less great. His accomplishments doesn't mean she's not accomplished. His wisdom and ability to rule his kingdom and the prosperity that he has does not mean that she cannot rule her kingdom and that her kingdom is not prosperous. As a matter of fact, it must be, because they are engaging in trade with her nation to get things that they don't have where they are from her in order to build this grand temple. She knows how to respond to greatness. She knows how to recognize something that is good or exceptional, and she is not afraid to acknowledge it or give voice to it. A few years ago, I was struck by sort of the realization, and I don't know if it was during a Lenten season or when it was, but I was becoming attuned to the fact, right? Being convicted. The Lord, I believe it was the Lord revealing it to me, of the ways in which I was becoming increasingly negative. And when I think about it, I realize it was during the time where I was working on my PhD and sort of moving through my doctoral work. And I sort of felt the Holy Spirit sort of pulling my coattail, helping me to recognize that part of the PhD process, part of all of this research and everything, what you're doing is you're constantly evaluating not simply what people have contributed to the discipline, but you're always finding the holes. You're always finding the faults, how they didn't go far enough, how the conclusions that they reached or the ways in which the logic of their thought didn't line up, or the way they interpreted something was not persuasive, right? Wasn't correct. Didn't feel like it really took into consideration all the things that it should have taken into consideration. So one develops a mindset, and when they are reading and doing this kind of work in a very intense and sustained manner, you're always trying to find the gap. You're always trying to find the hole. You're always trying to find the break. And if you're not careful, that mentality then is projected onto everything else. So now when you're looking at the job and the spouse and the kids and all, though I didn't have those at the time, but looking at ministry, looking at, what's going on in relationships and friendships, the lens has been so fine-tuned to find the problem, to find the gap, to find the hole, to find what's missing, right? And so I was becoming increasingly negative and frustrated with things, and realizing my frustration was coming from you're problem focused, problem oriented, and not solution oriented, and not even recognizing sort of the value and the positive things that are there, right? And then I felt nudged even further because I realized that so often I was more quick to voice what's wrong than to voice what's right. And so even noticing, I would see somebody or, pass somebody. And in my mind, I would think, oh, they look cute today, or I like that outfit or those shoes, or they might say or do something. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, they did a really good job, but I wouldn't say it. And I felt nudged by the Lord to say, don't just think the good things, say the good things. And it was amazing how shocked people were. Not that I was positive, but shocked because people are so used to folk holding back the positive stuff, taking it for granted and not acknowledging it, but giving voice to the negativity, till the fact that everything that comes out is negative. And in later years, I ended up having a conversation with someone because I was like, the reason why I think that you're negative is because you always give voice to what's wrong, but you go silent on everything that's right. The good stuff is supposed to be a given, and so you're silent on it. But if you're constantly giving voice to what is negative, then that's all you're giving out is negativity. And so I tried to purpose in my heart that when the positive came, when I heard something or I saw something or experienced something positive, just to give voice to it, right? To start putting that positivity in the world. And sometimes we don't do that because of our own insecurities, right? Because of our own lack of confidence. But what we see with this woman is she knows how to respond to greatness. She knows how to respond to that which is positive. She knows how to respond to that which is good or pleasing or beneficial by giving voice to it and acknowledging it. And so she talks about the greatness of his kingdom and the God who has given him this greatness and this wisdom and all that he has had, and that the half has not been told. She knows how to respond, and she can respond with a level of humility, because what is humility, y'all? Humility is having a proper or right estimation of who we are. When we know who we are, we can be humble. When we know who we are, we can show respect because it doesn't take anything away from us. When we know who we are, we can give praise. We can compliment. We can big somebody up because it doesn't take anything from us, because we know who we are. It is out of insecurity and a lack of confidence sometimes that we hold stuff back because we're projecting stuff on ourselves that has nothing to do with us. She recognizes the greatness of Solomon. And she's able to say that because she's confident in who she is. And the final thing I want to point out is that she is secure enough to be generous. She is confident in what she has. The gifts that she gives to Solomon in today's day and age would be well over $20 million. She works from a place of sufficiency and not lack, right? She is confident in who she is and what she can supply and doesn't minimize that. Sometimes the way that our lack of confidence is manifested is we don't value ourselves and therefore we don't value what we have to offer. And sometimes it prohibits us from valuing people who see our value. Let me unpack that. So you've probably sort of heard these phrases, this phrase or saying where, there are people who don't want to be a member of a club that would let them in, right? They think so poorly of themselves that if the club let them in, then it's not a good club to belong to. Sometimes we can be so down on ourselves that what we have is not valued because we have it, right? What we have to offer isn't valued because we're offering it. And so the lack of value that we place on us, the lack of confidence we have concerning us is projected onto what we put out into the world. And even when the people see the reality of our value, we sometimes shortchange them. They don't know. They're just being nice. Like we begin to, in many ways, sort of insult them and their estimation and what it is that they see. But a confident person is secure enough to be generous. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have $20 million to give away, but it does mean that we have something of value that we can place into the world or that we can place into somebody's life. And sometimes the most valuable things that we can offer are things that are intangible and things that can't be quantified in dollars and cents. It could be simply our attitude. It could be our disposition. It could be our words. It could be our hugs. It could be our encouragement. It could be our ministry of presence. It could be the wisdom that we've gained that could benefit somebody else, the experiences that we have lived that can benefit somebody else. Sometimes our testimonies, because of what we've gone through and our lack of confidence in ourselves and looking down on ourselves because of the mistakes we made, may be the lifeline that somebody else needs. Right? And we use wisdom. We don't have to bear out our entire souls and tell our whole life stories. But sometimes there are some things that the Lord is urging us to share or to tell to somebody else because it is of benefit. The world needs that generosity from us. They need us to give that. And maybe it doesn't seem like a lot to us, but when you think about it, some of that wisdom was bought with our blood, sweat, and tears. Some of that wisdom was bought because we made some mistakes that broke us into pieces and we had to figure out how to put ourselves back together again and give ourselves to God to let God glue the pieces back in place and to heal it. So the money wasn't there, but we paid a price. It's valuable. And to give it is generous. So, in what ways does the Queen of Sheba speak to you? How can you build up your confidence, walk in your confidence? Are there some ways during this Lenten season where God is asking for your generosity and for you to be confident enough to know that you have something to offer? Is God looking for your positivity to be brought into this world and for you to quit discounting it as if it is nothing? The Queen of Sheba is our example of a confident woman. And it is my prayer that you might have the power of this confidence that is rooted in God and the beautiful creation that God made you to be.
Yes, Lord, you said.